What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Andre SOG versus Sergey the Crusher Kovalev just happened November 19th. I was privileged enough to go cover that fight. Had a great time, and I want to do a follow-up video. Now, a lot of you guys hit me up and asked me, like, oh, why didn't you done this and do a video about this? Listen, the fight happened. I know some of you guys are taking that fight hard, but it takes time. I got to get one, there's fights that are coming up. I got to cover that. I'll also be in Fresno tomorrow. Top Rank has this big card, at least for this area in Fresno. They're putting on a good show. It should be a good show. Fun fights, some knockouts out in Fresno. It's a Top Rank card. And I'm covering that. I went to the media day, so I've just been pushing. I haven't had a chance to do a video about numbers and stuff because I got to cover what's upcoming as opposed to what's already happened. But they said the numbers came back 160,000, which is the approximate amount from the numbers. They said 160,000 HBO pay-per-view, which is by most people's accounts low. But at the end of the day, we already know what time it is. Haters want to whisper your successes and broadcast your failures. Like with the low pay-per-view numbers, some of you guys leaving comments like, yeah, Ego, make a video about the numbers. Talk about the low numbers. Talk about Ward's low numbers. First of all, how is it Ward's low numbers when Kovalev had top billing? It was Kovalev Ward. Kovalev was the champion. So it's funny, you could tell right there with comments like that, the disdain. Because instead of splitting the bill and saying Kovalev and Ward produce low numbers, y'all leaving comments like talk about Ward's low numbers. Why is it Ward? Because he's American? You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Like, it's Kovalev was the champion. It was the first fight on pay-per-view for both of them, and it is what it is. I don't get paid from either camp or from HBO's proceeds. I don't get back-end money, so y'all leaving me comments like talk about the numbers as if it affects me in any way. If it did 1 or 1 million, my paychecks are still the same. You know what I'm saying? So it's just funny to hear those types of comments. Talk about the number. Yeah, talk about, because anytime it's something that is perceived as negative against the fighter you don't like, all of a sudden you want to you request videos like that. You know what I'm saying? But you guys got to keep in mind, part of this hustle is not just YouTube. I'm not just a vlogger and just do YouTube. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. This is a brand. This is a business. I got the website, boxingego.com. And the day the news came out, I wrote this article about the numbers. So again, sometimes I don't always get a chance to make a video, but there'll also be articles, and you have to look at the other social media. But I did do an article about it, about the 160,000 buys, and gave my thoughts. What I want to say, you guys could read the article. But one thing that I also think is I personally blame HBO for a portion of this. The reason is they had the budget cuts. They're going through whatever they went through, and they kind of gouged the customer this year in terms of there were some fights that, in my opinion, weren't the most meaningful fights, and they were actual pay-per-view events, and they shouldn't have been pay-per-view events from my account. Fights like Timothy Bradley versus Pacquiao 3. Who really wanted to see that a third time, right? And if we did see it with no face-off, no HBO 24/7, right? And it was a pay-per-view event, really? You know what I'm saying? And then also fights like Canelo versus Amir Khan, Canelo Liam Smith. Those fights shouldn't have been pay-per-view. Crawford versus Postal. That was a good fight, a meaningful fight for the division that needed to happen, but neither guy were they really ready for pay-per-view. That's why I think you see the numbers come back low for that fight. It was like 50,000 because Crawford, he does good in his hometown, but he's not this global star yet. You know what I mean? Very skilled, brilliant fighter, but you got to match him. Like if you put Crawford and Pacquiao, that could do solid numbers because you have Pacquiao star power mixed with Crawford. But pay-per-view it's kind of becoming a dying market, so people aren't going to pay for just anything. So to me, I think HBO needs to get back to some of their programming that made them famous, like face-offs and stuff. You notice the Kovalev Ward fight, they didn't even do a face-off. You know what I mean? With Max Kellerman, not just a face-off at the weigh-in. I'm talking about the show face-off or an HBO 24/7. I know they did the My Fight and Road 2. So to me, I kind of blame HBO because when you put out all these pay-per-views, you know what I mean, people shell out, and maybe some of those fights like Canelo Smith, that card didn't really deliver, so it makes them probably gun-shy to hesitate for the actual card that did matter, or the fight that did matter, which was Ward Kovalev, and it turned out to be a great fight. You know what I mean? Around the holidays, some people probably got gun shy. But the title of the video, I want to talk about that real quick. And Andre Ward posted this. He says, "Dirty fighter, : This is what he really means. He doesn't want that inside work. It's amazing to me that the same guy who said he would kick me in the ring if he had to, the same guy who said he wanted a street fight, is the same guy calling me a dirty fighter. And the same guy crying foul because things didn't go his way. The reality is, when a guy likes to fight one way on the outside and is very uncomfortable fighting inside, they call you a dirty fighter. It's called inside work. That's the way I was taught. You have to be able to adapt and have more than one style at the highest level, outside, mid-range, and inside, if you're going to survive for a long time in this game. Kovalev, he's a good fighter, but has one style. He fought the best fight he could fight, and that's the best shape he could possibly be in, and he still got tired. Say what you may, the worst mistake he made was knocking me down. It woke me up, and from there, we went to work. We bullied the bully. If there was a rematch, we are going to pick up where we left off. Hashtag SOG, hashtag earn. Photo from my dude, I Am Squint. Make sure you guys follow him. And Andre Ward is 100% right. A lot of people, like, you guys are taking this loss really hard. Some of you guys, oh, keep it real, Ego. You're just saying, no, I really think Andre Ward won. Was it a close fight? Absolutely. But I think he won because Kovalev didn't make those elite level, championship level adjustments when it was clutch, when it was game time, when it was a close fight. So, like, this is what I hate about the boxing game. You look at the boxing game and you know what Ward, we have years of history on certain fighters, guys like Andre Ward. You know how he fights. You have plenty of tape to study. Same thing with Floyd Mayweather. They say, oh, after Robert Guerrero faces Floyd, then he says, oh, he ran. Or Canelo, oh, he ran like a chicken. He didn't want to stand up. You know how he fights. Why don't you have a game plan for that? So Andre Ward, 100% right. You got to make adjustments in this business. You have to evolve. You have to adapt. And that's what it is. After the knockdown, Kovalev, his work got a bit sloppier. Towards the second half, like his work wasn't as pristine. His jab somehow got abandoned. He seemed tired. And it's not even just seemed tired. I was at the post-fight press conference. It's on the channel. Kovalev himself said, I was tired. I got tired. You know what I mean? And it happens, especially when someone's whacking the hell out of your body, pause, and polishing you up, touching you up to the body like Ward was doing. I think that body work drastically slowed down Kovalev, and Ward made those adjustments in the second half, making it a very close fight, but a fight where Kovalev, he let it slip out of his grasp, because a knockdown is not going to save you. We've seen, if you know boxing, and this is the thing, I already know what the deal is. Some of you guys, and I'll get to that in a second, some of you guys, it was already predetermined who you wanted to win and who you were going to say won in a close fight, period. You know what I mean? And the way I know is because I've covered Ward's last fights from Paul Smith to Kovalev. I've been at each and every one of them. You know what I mean? Even when Broner was fighting Porter, instead of going to that fight, I covered the guy who was closest to me because I knew a lot of people weren't covering that fight, and that was just a Paul Smith fight, and I really wanted to see Broner or Porter at the time. But I paid my dues, and I went to the fight that was nearest to me and stuff like that. And the thing is, a lot of these dudes weren't there, but they came to the Kovalev fight. Why didn't you cover any of the, like even Sullivan Barrera? Okay, you didn't want to go to Alexander Brand, that was a tune-up. But they'll go to Kovalev versus Muhammadi, who, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't a fight we were expecting, but I seen some of these media dudes, and then they have coverage from fights like that. That was a bogus fight, or, you know what I'm saying? But they still showed up, but they don't show up to any awards events. So again, when it comes down to it, when it's all said and done, you didn't want Ward to win. Keep it real. And in a close fight, you were going to do this. You know what I mean? That's why you see a lot of people crying over spilt milk. Bottom line, Kovalev, great fighter. And I told you guys this in the 7 reasons. One of the reasons I picked Ward to beat him is because of the inside game. I told you guys. You guys go listen to that 7 reasons video. Still up. I don't delete. I told you Kovalev is better from a mid to outrange. And you have the actual fighter who faced him saying the same thing, right? Kovalev, he doesn't like the inside work. And see, this is how I know who knows boxing and who has like these predetermined judgments on these fighters and who's saying what based on like personal disdain or dislike and stuff like that, is because when I looked at the fight, shout out to Trap Photos who does amazing work also. But when I looked at this fight, a lot of people say, oh, Ward did this, Ward's dirty, Ward. But if you actually watch the fight, it was Sergey Kovalev who initiated many clinches, most of the clinches, right? And that's again because of his lack of inside work. Another problem with Kovalev that he's going to have to ration out and fix in the rematch is lack of head movement. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really move his head, so he becomes sort of a sitting duck, especially as fatigue sets in and stuff like that. But if you go back and look at this fight, actually know what you're talking about, and actually have seen boxing and, you know what I mean, and studied it or been in the ring, you'll notice Kovalev was the one initiating clinches, right? And that's because that's not his comfort zone. His comfort zone isn't in the inside. It's mid to out range. And that's how it is. Some fighters are like, there's some great fighters who are great inside fighters, and that's what they want. But then you can outbox the hell out of them. You know what I mean? It's just like Canelo. If you bring the fight to Canelo, he'll probably chop you up, garlic butter. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where he excels. But if you have like light feet, you have lateral movement, and you know what I'm saying, you cause him to constantly reset, he has slow feet. That's not what he struggles with. So I can look at Ward's deficiencies, I can look at Kovalev's deficiencies and strengths and weaknesses from a neutral place in boxing. And from what I've seen, Kovalev lacks head movement. Good boxer, definitely has power. He's everything, he's as advertised, but he lacks the head movement and the championship level. He didn't show the championship level elite. He showed elite heart, but he didn't show elite adjustments, because if he did, why didn't he duplicate the knockdown or anything even remotely close to that? After the second round, tell me a round where he had that was better than the second round. There were no rounds that he had that were better than the second round. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't make those adjustments late for whatever reason. Probably the dynamic of Ward and Ward's will to win and stuff like that. But I mean, it's just what it is. Kovalev is a great fighter. A lot of people in boxing, they're tribal. They already have their opinions set and who they hate, and you guys say all this radical stuff. It was a good fight. It was a close fight. It was a competitive fight. Nobody's saying Kovalev's a pushover. I would actually pick Kovalev to beat many guys in the division. You know what I mean? But it wasn't his night, and it could have been his night. It just he let the fight get away. And another thing is, like I said earlier with the Mayweather running example, you know how Floyd fights, so there are no excuses afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Kovalev saying and team saying, oh, it's the judges, and it was a UFC Andre Ward McGregor, he was an MMA fighter. Floyd had to deal with that, and y'all loved it. Floyd, when he fought Maidana, and Maidana was doing all sorts of way worse stuff than Ward Kovalev, but he was like hitting low, rabbit punching, unorthodox chopping behind the head, and doing all these roughhouse tactics. Mayweather even said post-fight, Maidana's a good fighter, but tell him to stop hitting me in the nuts. You know what I'm saying? And y'all loved it. But now Ward's a dirty fighter and all kinds of stuff like that. You know what you're getting into. You can't look to the referee to save you. You know what I mean? That's what made me mad about Andre Berto when he fought Robert Guerrero. I think at that time he could have beat Guerrero. He was coming off a 15-month layoff, but he didn't have the right game plan early. He showed heart late, and you know, he rallied back into the fight, but it was what he was doing wrong. He was letting Guerrero maul him, and it looked like he kept turning to the referee to save him, or like to call it. Things aren't all, Paulie Malignaggi told me this himself. Things aren't always going to go your way. You got to figure it out. Sometimes the ref, they blunder calls and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing what you want them to do. You know, I've seen tons of referees where they let whatever happen. You know what I mean? And then you have certain referees who they're like, nah, like watch Edwin Rodriguez versus Andre Ward. Jack Reese was like, nah. And he was breaking them up. I think he deducted a point from both of them. He's like, I have to restore order in here. But some referees, they like Lawrence Cole, be doing some crazy stuff. You watch the fight with what's his name, Ricky Burns and Omar Figueroa. He had like really no control over that fight. He was weird calls and stuff. So Kovalev, you can't rely on a referee. You got to figure out, you're the bully. You know what I mean? Like Ward's saying, you're the bully, you're the dog, you're the crusher. You know what I'm saying? Why are you complaining about? Why aren't you just ragdolling Andre Ward? And again, it's a testament to what Ward does well. He's not soft like some of you guys think. Like he's just gonna let someone muscle him around and do whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's not how it is. You know what I mean? It's funny that the big bad wolf is the one that's actually crying foul, like Ward said, and stuff like that. But you got to figure it out. You know what I mean? The judging and all that. Oh, it was the judging. You knew you were fighting. You knew where you were fighting, right? You knew you were fighting him in America. You know he was an American gold medalist. You know what I mean? I'm sure your team probably helped to pick the judges. So it's like, what are you crying about now after the fact of like, oh, the judges got it wrong, they cheated me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a close competitive fight. And it's just amazing to me that some people are really out there and they're making it like if it was like, let's say Nicholas Walters played out just like the first 7-8 rounds did, and then it went to the scorecards and Walters won, and it had looked like the whole fight looked like the first 7 rounds, then I'd be like, that's a robbery. Lomachenko got robbed. You know what I mean? Because Walters didn't really do anything. But this was a very competitive, and it was a close fight, and it was a fight where the champion let off the gas. You know what I'm saying? And typically, if you're a champion, you don't really see that as much. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, who's being praised. Some people are saying he's #1 pound for pound, right? Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez fought Carlos Cuadras, a champion, and the champion Cuadras got better in the second half. He looked better in the second half and had Chocolatito's eyes shut. The champion in this fight got worse in the second half. You know what I mean? Not worse in terms of he not showing heart, but worse in the sense of he looked better in the first stanza. You know what I mean? Especially round 2. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. It was a close fight, but it's I can clearly tell there's a personal hatred or whatever the situation is for Ward, and a lot of people just didn't want him to win because they failed to acknowledge it's a robbery. You know what I mean? Close fights like this, you can honestly make a case for, even like, for example, round 1, some people just unanimously give round 1 to Sergey Kovalev, but that's not as easy of a round to score as some of you guys may think, because Ward was busier and Ward was doing the better work for the bulk of that round, but Kovalev popped Ward with a very good stiff jab, right? And it backed him up, or, like, you know what I mean, shook him, buckled his legs, or whatever you want to say. But it wasn't like a 10-8 round or anything. So do you give it to the fighter who's done the majority of the work for 3 minutes, who's done better work through its entirety, or do you give it to Kovalev off of that one punch? You know what I'm saying? And it didn't cause a knockdown. It's not like Ward fell into the ropes, or, you know what I'm saying, was Tootsie rolling back. You know what I'm saying? Zab Judah versus Costa. It wasn't nothing that serious. Who the fuck is that guy? You know what I'm saying? So, again, close fight. I look forward to the rematch. It's funny to see, like, the comments and people who don't know boxing and stuff like that talk about, oh, this was dirty fight. And, I mean, just get off it. Like, if Kovalev, he's going to have his chance back at a rematch. I'm sure of it. It's the rematch clause. And then we'll see there. But it's kind of like every fighter has this. Like, Mayweather had his with Castillo. Some people, like, hate Mayweather, so of course they're going to naturally go with the person that they wanted to win, which is Castillo. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Like me, if Kovalev would have won, if he had a stronger second half, he would have won the fight, but he didn't. You know what I'm saying? And you guys know my predictions. If I'm wrong, I picked Broner to beat Porter. I was wrong. I thought Broner could get something done in there. I did a post-fight as soon as I got home from the Ward versus Paul Smith fight and told y'all, hey, I was wrong. Thought Broner would deliver. So if that happened in the Ward fight, then I would tell you that. You know what I mean? I have no problem in doing that. I don't lose credibility or anything by being wrong with the prediction. You guys can look at my prediction streak and tell me how accurate they have been. You know what I'm saying? So I can afford to lose one. Look at my 7 reasons. So let me know what you guys think of Ward's comments. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.